Hey bike farmers, thanks for clicking in. I'm hoping in this video I can show you what I look for when I recondition a kid's bike. I don't know about you, but my kids sure as hell don't know how to take care of their bikes. So I think it's important that parents know what to check for and know what to do to make sure that their kids' bikes are safe and operational. So I got this one back on a trade-in and it doesn't look like it was ridden much, so it's in very, very good condition. I don't think we're gonna find anything wrong with it. However, if I wanna resell it, I still have to go through everything. So I'm gonna throw this up in the repair stand and show you what I look for and what adjustments I make to all of the kids' bikes before I resell them, so I know that they're safe and ready to be ridden. I'm hoping that parents will see that it's really easy to check for these things. This is something you can do on your own. So sit back, relax, enjoy, and I hope you learned something. Okay, this is a 24-inch bike, 24-inch wheels. Of course, everyone's different, but I get kids as early as 7 years old on these bikes and maybe all the way up to 11 or 12, depending on the kid. This is a really popular category for me. This one was purchased and not ridden, so it's in very, very good condition. A couple of things that I look for right out of the gates is I spin the wheels and I check to just see how wobbly the rim is. This one's not too bad. We could throw it up in the stand and make it just exactly perfect, but it's not that important on this bike. So I just kind of look for the extreme spot. There's one there. So I can just loosen this spoke a smidge. Now this isn't something you would do at home, but I can do just because I know what I'm doing. I also check the tire tread, see if they've been skidding. So you can just kind of go through slowly and just look all the way around. You can just tell this bike has like hardly been ridden. I mean, here's a little bit of a flat spot, you know, nothing of concern, but these knobs are still on the tire. Everything seems to be just fine. Also, always a good idea, just give the tires a squeeze. You want them to be firm. These are firm. I don't even need to add any air. You just don't want them soft. Soft tires are when they're gonna get flats. So, you know, just have a good floor pump around and make sure there's air in the tires. So, axle nuts are a very important thing. These have dust caps on them. Actually, I don't know if they're dust caps, but they're like safety caps. But you just want to make sure they're snug. And I do this when I assemble bikes. I can tell this one's never been in for service, or, you know, nobody's tried to replace a tube, any of that kind of thing. So we already know on this bike that the brakes aren't rubbing, but if you just kind of squeeze the lever, and I just want to make sure that the brakes are pulling equally from either side. When they're not, these happen to be, when they're not, this right here is the tension screw. And you can increase the tension by tightening it, and you'll see that that brings the whole system over to the right. And then if I loosen the tension, it'll start moving things back over to the left, and you can just get it really nice and centered, just like that. So nothing's rubbing, don't have to worry about anything. I also use this as a chance to check the brake pads. There's still plenty of brake pad left on there. This is more of a maintenance thing than a safety thing, but if you have a little bottle of Tri-Flow or something, just putting a little bit of lube right in the pivots, and you kind of work it down in there. That keeps things moving freely. Or let it work in, let gravity pull it down. Again, with your chain lube, all you need is a little bottle of this and just a couple drops on each link. Is really all that's necessary. And then I also put a couple drops in the pivots on the derailleur, on the pulley wheels. The bolt heads. Barrel adjuster. You know, just wherever metal's touching metal. And you can check the shifting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So one thing you can do is if get it up in the big cog, and then just turn your shifter the other way. That gives enough slack in that cable where you can get access to the cable, and you can put a couple drops of lube on it. And while you have that slack, well, that's not right. So I found something here. This is why we like to go through bikes. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. Yeah, the little rubber donuts got crammed up in the ferrule. We might have to do a little bit of surgery here to get that ferrule out. Oh, there we go. Oh, I kind of bent things a little bit. Use my tiny needle nose here. Yeah, I really messed that ferrule up. Well, so now we got to take the cable out. Hopefully we don't fray it. That trick doesn't matter anymore now that we're taking the cable out. I got the cable out. Now, do yourself a favor. Oh yeah, you can see right there. Yeah. This is a whole, so this is why I really don't like removing cables. We're at a high risk here of not getting this cable back through the housing. Yeah, see how it's frayed right there where it was clamped? It's just going to be really hard, and changing cables on these shifters is a pain. All right, well, welcome to fixing bikes. Here we go. So I think somehow I gotta get inside this shifter. There we go. That's how that works. Okay, I kind of broke things there, but it's okay. See, they make it just impossible to switch these cables, which is so dumb. I mean, it's not impossible, right? It's totally possible, but they sure make it difficult. I always drop a little lube on the cable before I put my housing on. I've seen some comments that people think that actually makes it worse, that you'll just attract dirt, and with a stainless cable and some good housing, it's fine the way it is. And here's that ferrule that we're replacing. Whoop, dropped the ferrule. Okay, so the ferrule goes on the housing, and then that goes in there. And there's no more wubby-dubby stuck in there. Little tail piece here. All right, the cable's a little loose, so I'm just gonna back out that barrel adjuster. And that'll tighten the cable. That's way better. Then you can take your Behold furniture spray or Lemony Fresh Pledge or any other generic variant of furniture polish, and any rag you can find, and you can just wipe the bike down, and it becomes very shiny and new again. Again, the front brake, I just, dropped the lube. Front brake you can loosen up, and then I just drop a couple drops of lube down in the cable. And then I also lube the noodle here. And just like we did on the rear, you can, put a couple drops here in the pivots. That keeps things moving freely. Once you get it lubed up. You can just kind of check that. I'm going to add a little tension to this side over there. It was a little too much, so I'll add some here. That looks pretty good. Can tuck the cable out of the way. These are good there. Nothing's wobbling. And then probably the most important things are with the handlebars. It's always a good idea to check your levers. Bell works. Also a good idea to check your crank bolts. Very tight. Pedals are good. Seat clamp. This one's a 6mm on this side. They're all a little different. But that was good and tight. Yeah, this bike's looking pretty good. I guess one thing I didn't do was lube the rear brake cable. So if you loosen it up, you don't need much. Now hopefully you buy your bike from a bike shop, new or used, and they do this stuff. And then hopefully you have a decent place to store it. Now I know that's not possible for everyone, but if this is done, God, that's hard to do upside down. If everything's done right the first time, then yeah, just that little bit of lube makes those feel good as new. And if you have a little bit of effort up front with the assembly, it makes maintenance a lot easier. Spin the front wheel, slam on the brakes, and make sure that that headset isn't loose. I'll just check the lock nut here to make sure. Yep, very good. Oh, kickstand. A lot of the more modern bikes have direct mount kickstands, and they really like to loosen up. Yeah, that one's pretty loose. But always a good idea to check those, because the kickstand will flop around. Otherwise, they're clamping style here, and it's a 14mm. They like to loosen up as well. But, you know, a pedal can easily get caught on it and cause a crash. Main things to check on a kid's bike: tire pressure first, then the axle nuts, do your stem bolt and handlebars, check that seat clamp, kickstand. You know, those are the basics. You just go around with a wrench and check stuff. Drop a little bit of lube on the chain, maybe in the brake pivots, and then you can just kind of check to make sure that the brakes are working good. Now, the few things that we did on this were things that only a bike mechanic would notice, like the deal that was going on with this Faro, and the bike would have operated just fine without that. I just wanted to make it right because I'm going to be reselling this bike. So we went on a little bit of a divergent there, and the little bit of tweaking that I did to the rear wheel, again, the bike would have ridden just fine. It's not a safety concern or anything like that. Thanks again for tuning in. If you like this content and want to see more, please let me know in the comments. Always support the channel by clicking the like button and subscribing, or consider being a member. I have affiliate links and such in the description, so check that out. Of course, as always, don't forget to click that notification bell so you and your bike can stay tuned.